HighVibe Conversations.
You are now listening to
HighVibe Conversations.
Hello, my name is Tawana Chamberlain, and I am your host for this new podcast called HighVibe Conversations. I just want to talk to people about what they are doing to stay motivated, positive, to remain hopeful, and inspired during this time of quarantine. So, this will just be a mixer, if you will, a virtual mixer. And I'll have some of my friends who are professionals and thought leaders in their industry, people who like to stay close to the light in terms of positivity and to bring joy to people, to bring hope and inspiration. We just want to keep the conversations on a high vibe, a higher frequency, and not give way to a lot of the negativity that we hear on the news or just with things going on around the globe in general. There is so much with coronavirus and COVID-19, the global pandemic, and we are finding our ways through this new normal now. So I just wanted to create a podcast, a safe space where I could bring people on, like-minded individuals, kindred spirits, to talk about how to remain hopeful and positive and optimistic and still productive in this time of quarantine and isolation. So I hope you'll enjoy the podcast. And we'll go ahead and get started with my special guest for this episode, Mrs. Jill Flowers, soul activist, transformation facilitator, and coach who hails from Brooklyn, New York. And she's doing such amazing work in New York right now. And I can't wait for you all to hear her backstory and to hear more about what she is doing to maintain high vibe energy in the midst of it all. So stay tuned and keep it locked right here to High Vibe Conversations with Tawana.
HighVibe Conversations.
We are back with another episode of High Vibe Conversations. So excited to speak with our special guest for this episode of the podcast, Miss Jill Flowers, soul activist, transformation facilitator, and coach. And please just allow me to take my time with this one. I want to properly introduce this queen to you all. Soul activist, one who advocates for your healing, your awakening, and the unfoldment of your purpose. The soul activist takes one from pain to power to purpose. This is what Jill does in her work with Black women. She helps Black women heal from the false narratives and beliefs that keep them from realizing their high potential. The ideas that you are not enough, or I am a strong Black woman syndrome. I can do it on my own belief. And I got to just stop for a second because that resonated with me, even though I'm supposed to be going through who you are, Jill. I think you're going to have to tell me about that syndrome. I can do it on my own. And that definitely needs to be healed, Jill says. Jill believes that Black women are the link to healing the Black community. Amen. She believes that when Black women have a full understanding of their alchemy, she then becomes the medicine for her family. That's so deep. She is capable of harmonizing her family and thus the community because she herself is harmonized. Consider you are powerful beyond measure and you have limitless potential. Jill Flowers defines a modern day Renaissance woman as she's a transformational speaker, a wedding officiant, activist, author, and not the least of these, mother and wife, co-founder of the Abolish the N-Word Project, Incorporated. Jill and her husband received over 100,000 hits on their website's powerful message, the first month in existence. This was before the term viral was even a part of the English lexicon. You go, Miss Jill. The Brooklyn-raised couple received media attention around New York and across the United States, including CNN, New York Daily News, Miami Herald, and the Washington Post. They were awarded numerous accolades including a proclamation from the city of New York and the New York City Council, and a Trailblazer Award from the then Manhattan Borough President, Scott Stringer. Jill's activists inspired her to continue to be of service, and she went on to become an ordained interfaith minister. She has now evolved as a spiritual life coach and sacred circle keeper. Jill uses metaphysics, guided meditation, sound healing, hypnotherapy, breath, and emotional freedom technique in a spiritual mashup that provides deep transformation for the women attending her healing circle and private sessions. You're going to have to tell me more about that too, girlfriend. Her work with the subconscious mind, which she believes is intrinsically linked to the soul, has given her new meaning to the directive, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, that's the book. That's the Bible right there. Jill is passionate about being of service and taking a stand for the transformation of consciousness. Her vow into ministry says it all. I, Jill Flowers, vow to use my speech, my listening, and my light to awaken, to empower, and to heal. Jill lives in Brooklyn, New York, with her husband and 2 children. Y'all help me welcome the illustrious Miss Jill Flowers. Hi, Vibe Conversations. How are you, Queen?
Yay! Who is this person? I'm gonna meet her.
You are the bomb,
oh,
lady.
Yes, when you hear stuff about yourself, and I'm just like, who is this? That's me. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for this conversation and inviting me to be on your very special podcast. Thank you so much, Tawana. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, and I'm honored that we have crossed paths and that we are working collectively to be positive and to spread light right now and high vibe energy in the midst of everything that's going on. So without further ado, I'd like to jump right into the interview. The first question I have for you are, what are some of the things that you are doing to remain positive and productive during this time of quarantine?
Well, I want to share, I think it's important for me to share that my family has really been impacted by COVID-19 and what's going on. So my mother-in-law was diagnosed. She tested positive, and she's just coming out of the hospital. So she was in the hospital. My brother-in-law he's been affected, infected. He has it. I'm not sure if my sister-in-law, if she had it, but my husband is also infected and quarantined. And so, I'm sharing that and being transparent. I didn't tell you this before because I thought it would be good for us. Like, let me just
because I'm like, I'm just taking this in right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is heavy. So you are in what they call like a hot spot right there in Brooklyn, New York. So you are right there in the thick of it. And I mean, my gosh, I want to just put the phone down and start interceding for your family right now. Gosh, that's heavy.
Yeah, so I'm sharing that because what I'm saying, I wanted to really take on a new light and a different light. I'm not saying this as someone who, we've not been impacted. I'm still working, and I'm just doing the disco, nightly disco, and bored out of my mind watching Netflix all day. You know what I mean? And I'm not shaming anybody, but all I'm saying is that where I'm coming from is a very real space because I am dealing with it.
Yeah.
I'm not on the front line. God bless the people who are on the front line.
Yeah.
So, I've become my own client, right? So I'm sitting right now in the midst of my sound healing bowls. I am heavy into my meditations and my prayers and my guided imagery. and I am heavy into my sound bowl, playing them for myself. You know, so my care has really, it has gone to the 10th power, I would say. You know, I've also really returned to looking at going back to Bible scripture and really taking like the metaphysical meaning. You know, I'm very much not into dogma of things or pointing my finger and saying, you know, you need to do this. And that's just not my personality, but it's also not my spirituality either. My brand of spirituality. And so I have really just returned to the basics, and it's just really been, there is no place where God is not. That's just, and that keeps me, like, my motto is around high vibrancy, high frequency.
Yes, ma'am.
This virus, you know, viruses are low frequency. So I always think in terms of vibration and energy and frequency in the same way that Nikola Tesla has taught us to or told us to. And so it is important. It is imperative. It is, you know, our lives are really dependent on flipping things around, flipping what they tell you. You know, in these uncertain times, when you get that email and the email says in these uncertain times, you have to lash right back with, well, this is what I know for sure.
Amen.
I
love it. And that's what's up. Hold on to the things that keep us on the higher frequency, that higher vibe energy. This is what I know for sure. So in other words, don't give way to the fear. Don't give way to that spirit of confusion and uncertainty. But instead, hold on to the things that you know are absolute truth. And I think that's where we find our power. So I love that. So you kind of already have said it, but my next question is, what advice would you give to others to uplift them?
I really think that people have to find what works for them. You know, I'm all about meditation, but some people are like, I can't meditate. So if the meditation is something that irritates you or you get frustrated by it, and this is not a time for you to learn it, then you have to find what works for you. It might be an OJ song. Let me put on an OJ song and meditate to that. Or
for me, it would be a Maxwell song.
Okay, so then it's a Maxwell. Maxwell there's a great song that he has. It's perfect for meditation because it's actually him talking about leaving his body. I can't remember the name of it, but he is talking about meditation. And, you know, you do what is going to work for you. Put on music, dance to that music. Put on, you know, like your favorite movie. Eat really good. Take care of yourself. That is my advice. My advice is call people, check in on people, and have conversations and understand that we're all in this together, and there is no place where God is not. There is no place where God is not.
Amen. I love that. And so let me ask you this. This is a little more introspective of a question, Jill. But what have you learned about yourself during this coronavirus crisis?
You know, I've really been dealing with my shadow during this crisis. I've been dealing with really integrating all those dark parts. And I think that's been my task anyway, but to have it so close to my home, right? And, you know, like. So
let me just
now?
make sure I understood the first thing you said. You said you have been dealing with your shadow?
Yeah, I've been.
Okay, you might need to put that down in layman's terms for some of us who may not be as esoteric, ethereal, and you know, the high vibe inclined to understand exactly what you mean by your shadow. Because just break that down so that people understand. And I think in the basic sense, you're meaning like the dark side of ourselves, but I don't know if I'm correct in
the dark side of ourselves, but it's also the dark side of ourselves that we really try to hide, right?
Okay.
We took that dark side and we put it in the box. And a lot of times we put it in the box and we lock it, threw away the key. And then other people bother us, affect us, frustrate us, right? And a lot of times those other people, they're connected to that shadow self, where you're judging that other person and you're talking about that other person and you're like, why is that person bothering me so much, right? But it's because that's the part of you hid. And so what happens is when crisis comes, when situations comes, they come along, it forces you, especially when you have to be by yourself, it forces you to deal with that dark side, right? So I want to play my bowls, but there might be a part of me that's just like, throw the bowls on the floor, break something. Don't you want to break something? Aren't you angry? Aren't you upset?
Right.
Aren't you mad that this stuff is going on? You got to stay in the house and you're just about to do all these things in your business. And, that's that. I can let that part of me take over, or I can sit down and deal with some stuff, right?
And do the work. Yeah.
And do the work. You do the work. So things have been coming up where I realize how much stuff I take personally, That it has nothing to do with me. That don't have nothing to do with me, right?
Yes,
but
I feel you.
I'm taking it personal. Why are you taking that so personal, And during this time, I've just been dealing with some of my character, my own character, my own flaws, right? Dark side where, I'm gonna put everything down. I'm getting ready to curse everybody out.
Right. And
right?
so since this is what you do for a living, let me just interject. I too am dealing with it because what I'm understanding now because it feels like we've been given like either a pause or reset that we had never experienced before. And so what I'm finding is that it is okay for me to acknowledge my limitations. Like say, oh, I can't do all this right now. I can't. Maybe when all of the craziness of what we thought was real before coronavirus, maybe I had figured out how to multitask and maintain insanity or whatever that was we were doing before everything came to a screeching halt. But right now, it's like I am crystal clear about parameters and my limitations and what I can do, what I can't do, what foolishness I won't tolerate. All of a sudden, it's like those things have become crystal clear. So that's a part of me, just really digging in deep and understanding who I am as a person and understanding my limitations as well. So
yes. And I want to just add really quickly to that. Something that's become very crystal clear to me has been what really matters now. What really matters. And that's where that taking things personal, because I've had to ask the question, does that really matter now? Like, does that really matter? And so, the boundaries, the perspective, my perspective is definitely changed.
Right. And now we're all asking the question, what matters most? Because that's
what matters most. Yeah.
That's important. That's important right now. So I am just, girl, you and I are going to have to talk offline. Because you know some stuff. And I don't have a whole lot of time in the podcast, but I definitely want to reach out to you a little later. So just tell us some new projects, because I know that you are a forward thinker and you are always keeping it moving. So just tell us some new projects that you are working on right now.
I'm working on two things. One is a spiritual support group for this time, and maybe it'll go over into after this is done and over. But I just find that there are people who really, they may not be into talk therapy, but they may be into breath work and sound healing, and just being able to be in a space with like-minded women who can understand how they're feeling. So I'm working on a spiritual support group. I'm working on doing some individual private sessions, sound bath sessions, online group work, online private sessions, meditation, one-on-one meditation. So all of the things that I do, that I offer, I am making them into groups and then having them be one-on-one offerings as well. And I'm adding to the mix, and it can be by donation, but I'm also just adding memorial services and declarations of love for people who may want to declare their love for each other as opposed to actually getting married right now. But they may want to, they have a lot of people had to postpone their weddings.
Right, their weddings because of all of this.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of tweaking my services and putting it all online.
Awesome.
And that's it.
Right. Safer at home, right? We are definitely all social distancing right now. And I think it's so important because we're doing it collectively, and we just want everybody to be all right, and at least that should be the mindset. Like you said, we are in this together. So, Jill, tell our listeners how they can connect with you, because you have a wealth of knowledge that you can share with all of us. So what's the best way? What's your website, social media platforms and handles? What's the best way for everyone to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is on jillflowers.com, and then all the social media handles are there. My messenger is there.
Awesome.
Everything is on there. So if you go on and just kind of scroll down and look around, you will find how to get in contact with me. You can send an email. You can send a messenger on Facebook, and give me a second to answer, because I'm dealing with some stuff here.
Yes.
But yes, I'm reachable through jillflowers.com.
Awesome. Well, Jill, I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, Queen. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because you are a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, and you are there for so many others in the midst of everything that's going on in your own personal life right now. And I just want to let you know that I will be interceding for your family. I will be praying for you all there in New York. And I just really appreciate all that you offer to the world. And you're a beautiful soul. And I'm really happy that our paths cross. And again, I just thank you for being a special guest on this podcast, HighVibe Conversations, and I will be having you back. So thank you, Sweetie Pie, and I appreciate all that you have done. Bye-bye.
I received everything you said. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you soon and talk to you very soon.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you, sweetie. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of HighVibe Conversations, the podcast that strives to spread peace and positivity in the midst of this pandemic.
HighVibe Conversations. Conversations.